If you don't take control of your life, your days will control you. That's the hard truth, and most people don't even realize it. Look at your last few days. Were they moving you closer to the life you actually want, or were you just getting through them? Waking up, checking your phone, rushing around, answering people, reacting to problems, then going to bed drained, and repeating the same thing tomorrow. That's not living. That's drifting. Designing a life, not a day, is about getting real with yourself. It's about choosing direction over distraction, purpose over pressure, growth over comfort. This isn't about hustle or chasing perfection. It's about building the kind of life that feels right to you every day. If you've been feeling stuck, tired, or like something's missing, you're not broken. You just need a better way to live, not later, now. This is where you start. Let's build something that lasts. Chapter 1. Build intentions that shape your everyday direction. When a person decides to build intentions that shape everyday direction, the first thing they discover is that life does not change by accident. It changes when someone becomes fully aware of what they want to become and how they want to live. Most people drift through their days reacting to whatever shows up. They move from task to task without seeing the bigger picture that holds their life together. A life cannot be shaped in that kind of drift. A life responds to intention. Real direction begins the moment a person finally stops and decides to be honest about the life they want to build. Everyday direction comes from asking simple human questions that many people avoid. What matters to me? What do I want more of? What do I want less of? What do I want my days to stand for? These questions are not difficult, but they require honesty. Many people do not slow down long enough to answer them. They hope that someday life will magically feel right. But a life that feels right is not built on hope. It is built on intention. It starts by choosing what deserves your time and what no longer does. Building intentions means you place meaning before motion. It means you decide what kind of human you want to become before you decide what you plan to do today. People who skip this step often feel lost because their actions have no center. They work hard, but they do not know where their effort is taking them. When someone sets an intention each day, they create a mental guide that keeps them steady. It does not matter if the day is easy or heavy. The intention anchors them. It reminds them why they woke up and what they want their day to represent. An intention can be simple but powerful. It might be to stay calm when stress rises. It might be to complete one important task that brings you closer to a long goal. It might be to treat people with warmth even when life feels hard. It might be to push yourself a little more because your future depends on it. When a person sets an intention with honesty, that intention shapes their decisions. It shapes how they respond to problems and how they use their energy. Life becomes clearer because there is purpose behind each action. People often underestimate how quickly a life drifts when intention is missing. One distracted day becomes a distracted week, and soon it becomes a distracted year. Time does not wait for anyone. If we do not guide it, it guides us. That is why setting intention is not just a habit, it is a responsibility. A life grows one day at a time, and if each day is shaped with intention, the life becomes something meaningful. If the days are shaped by impulse, the life becomes something confusing. Intention is the difference between progress and regret. Human psychology shows that people naturally follow the path of least resistance. They choose what feels easier in the moment, even if it damages the future. Intention teaches you to choose what is right for your future self instead of what is fast for your present self. When a person builds intention, they begin creating a relationship with their future. They start caring about the person they will become in 5 years. They start protecting that person. And that small psychological shift changes everything. Building intention also requires awareness of emotional habits. Many people wake up with stress already sitting on their shoulders. They rush into the day with scattered thoughts and tired emotions. Intention slows all of that down. It gives the mind a moment to breathe before the day begins. The moment you say, "Here is how I choose to show up today," something inside you settles. You take control of the emotional tone instead of letting the world set it for you. Emotional stability grows when intention leads the day instead of fear or pressure. Another important part of building intention is understanding what drains your energy. Humans run out of mental strength faster than they realize. When you start your day without intention, you spend your energy reacting to everything around you. You solve problems that do not matter. You agree to things you do not even care about. You follow noise. But when you start with intention, you protect your energy. You give your best to what is meaningful. You say no more clearly. You handle challenges with more calm because you know what your day is meant to represent. Intention also gives meaning to small actions. When someone decides, "Today I will grow in one area," even the smallest progress feels valuable. When someone says, "Today I will treat my body with respect," a simple walk becomes meaningful. When someone says, "Today I will grow my confidence," small steps suddenly feel powerful. Intention changes the emotional weight behind ordinary actions. It turns daily life into a place of steady growth rather than empty routine. Many people think intention requires large plans, but it does not. Intention works best when it stays grounded in real life. It lives in the way you start your morning. It lives in the way you speak to people. It lives in the way you treat your responsibilities. It lives in the choices you make when no one is watching. Intentions are reminders of who you want to be in the simple, real moments of life. This is where character grows. This is where direction forms. There is also a psychological truth that people often overlook. When you repeat the same intention daily, your identity begins to shift. If you choose intentions that lift you, you start to see yourself differently. You start acting like someone who has purpose. You start feeling like someone who owns their life. You walk with more confidence because you are living with more clarity. And once identity rises, actions rise with it. This is how a person grows into a stronger version of themselves. Daily intention also builds discipline. Not the harsh kind, but the human kind that feels steady and supportive. When you choose intention, you learn to guide your actions even when you do not feel motivated. You learn to do what matters because it matters, not because you are in the perfect mood. This kind of discipline creates freedom. When you follow intentions consistently, your life begins to move in a direction that brings peace instead of chaos. Building intention that shapes everyday direction also strengthens emotional maturity. It teaches patience. It teaches responsibility. It teaches self-awareness. When you pause to choose how you want to show up, you learn to pause before reacting. You think before speaking. You act before regret shows up. Life becomes calmer because you are not letting your emotions run the day. You are guiding them with intention. Each intention is a small step, but many small steps build a full direction. One day of intention makes you feel more centered. 1 week of intention makes you feel more capable. 1 month of intention makes you feel more focused. 1 year of intention changes your entire life. It is not magic. It is structure. It is psychology. It is choosing to build your life with the same care you give to anything you want to grow. You do not need a perfect plan to begin. You only need honesty about what you want your days to create. You need willingness to guide your actions with purpose. You need the courage to choose intention, even when it feels easier to drift. Your future waits for the intentions you choose today. Your life becomes stronger when your days become intentional. This is how you design a life, not just a day. You build intentions that shape your everyday direction. Chapter 2. Choose actions that match your deeper needs. When a person chooses actions that match their deeper needs, they begin to live with a kind of honesty that many people avoid. Most people spend their time doing what looks right on the outside, while ignoring what feels right on the inside. They follow the demands of the day but forget the demands of their own heart. They stay busy but not fulfilled. They stay active but not aligned. Life begins to feel confusing because there is a gap between what they do and what they actually need. Closing that gap requires courage. It requires listening to yourself before listening to the noise around you. Every person has deeper needs that guide their well-being. The need for respect, the need for peace, the need for progress, the need for purpose, the need for stability, the need for connection. These needs are not weaknesses, they are signals. When these signals are ignored, the mind and heart begin to feel tired. When they are honored, the entire life begins to feel balanced. But many people never stop to ask themselves what they truly need. They move through life based on habit or pressure rather than truth. Real change begins the moment someone chooses to act in a way that supports what they genuinely require to feel whole. Choosing actions that match your deeper needs means you stop living on autopilot. It means you question your patterns instead of blindly repeating them. If an action drains you every day, it has no place in a life you want to grow. If an action strengthens you, it deserves your commitment. Awareness grows when a person stops pretending that everything is fine and instead asks themselves why certain days feel heavy and why certain days feel calm. Most of the time, the difference is simple. On heavy days, your actions are out of alignment with your needs. On calmer days, your actions honor what your mind and body require. A deeper need can be something very simple. Some people need silence to think clearly. Some need structure to stay grounded. Some need meaningful goals to stay motivated. Some need honest conversations to feel connected. Some need time alone to reset. Some need encouraging people around them to stay steady. When you know these things about yourself, your actions become your support system. But when you ignore these needs, you start working against yourself without even noticing. There is a powerful shift that happens when you begin choosing actions based on what keeps you well, instead of what keeps others pleased. Many people exhaust themselves trying to match expectations that do not belong to them. They say yes to things they do not want. They stay in places that hurt their confidence. They follow routines that drain their energy. The fear of disappointing others keeps them away from their real needs. But the truth is, no one benefits when you pretend to be fine. People around you gain more from your real strength than from your silent struggle. When your actions match your needs, you become a healthier and more capable version of yourself. Your deeper needs often show themselves in moments of frustration. When you feel overwhelmed, it usually means you need more clarity. When you feel restless, it usually means you need direction. When you feel emotionally heavy, it usually means you need space. When you feel disconnected, it usually means you need genuine interaction. These feelings are not problems to hide. They are signs pointing to what you should adjust. When you act on these signs, your life moves into alignment. When you ignore them, your life becomes emotionally unstable. Choosing actions that match your deeper needs also requires honesty about what you can no longer carry. Some responsibilities feel heavy because they no longer fit the person you are becoming. Some habits hold you back because they are built on old fears. Some relationships drain your confidence because they demand more than you can offer. Letting go is not weakness, it is growth. When you remove actions that clash with your deeper needs, you open space for actions that support your well-being. There is a psychological truth that people often overlook. When your actions match your deeper needs, your motivation becomes natural. You do not need to force yourself to stay committed. You do not need to push yourself through every moment. You no longer fight yourself to complete tasks. The energy comes from within because your actions finally support the person you are trying to build. This is why aligned action feels lighter even when the work is heavy. It matches who you are and who you want to become. Another important point is understanding how needs change over time. What you needed 5 years ago may not be what you need today. Growth brings new priorities. Life brings new lessons. Emotional maturity shifts your values. When a person evolves, their needs evolve with them. Many people feel stuck simply because they are still living by the needs of a past version of themselves. They hold on to old routines and old standards that no longer support their well-being. Real direction requires checking in with yourself regularly, asking, what do I need now? Asking what no longer supports me. Asking what must change for me to feel aligned again. Choosing actions that match your deeper needs also means being aware of how you speak to yourself. Self-talk shapes behavior more than people realize. If your inner voice keeps telling you that you should ignore your own needs, your actions will follow that instruction. If your inner voice encourages you to take care of your well-being, your actions will reflect that too. The mind listens to your words. When your inner language supports your emotional stability, your behaviors begin to align with your needs naturally. People often fear that choosing actions based on their deeper needs makes them selfish. But the truth is the opposite. A person who ignores their needs becomes emotionally tired. A person who is emotionally tired becomes reactive. A person who is reactive becomes difficult to understand. This affects everyone around them. When you take care of your needs, you show up in life with more patience, more clarity, more kindness, and more strength. That is not selfish. That is responsible. Matching your actions to your needs also builds long-term stability. When you take steps that support your mental health, you reduce emotional chaos. When you make choices that protect your peace, you reduce stress. When you create routines that match your goals, you reduce confusion. Stability is not an accident. It is built through daily decisions that match your deeper needs. A stable life does not mean a perfect life. It means a life built on actions that support the well-being of the person living it. Another important part of this process is learning to trust your instincts. Many people talk themselves out of what they know is right for them. They feel they need permission to follow what their heart is asking for. But the truth is, no one understands your needs better than you. No one feels your inner world the way you do. When something pulls at you, it is calling your attention. When something drains you, it is warning you. When something brings you peace, it is guiding you. Trusting yourself is one of the most important steps you can take toward alignment. Choosing actions that match your deeper needs creates confidence. Not the loud confidence that demands attention, but the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are living in truth. When your actions reflect your real needs, you stop doubting yourself. You stop questioning your worth. You stop comparing your life to others. You focus on your path because your path makes sense to you. And when your path makes sense, your future becomes clearer. Every human deserves a life where their actions support their well-being instead of damaging it. Every person deserves a life where they are not fighting themselves. Alignment is not luxury, it is necessity. You feel like yourself when your choices match your needs. You feel grounded, you feel balanced, you feel present, you feel capable, you feel human again. This is how you move from surviving to building. This is how you shape a life that feels real, not forced. You choose actions that match your deeper needs, and in doing so, you create a life that grows from the inside out.
Chapter 3. Practice awareness to guide your long decisions. Awareness is one of the greatest tools a person can develop when they want to make long decisions that shape their future. It is not something complicated. It is the simple ability to notice your thoughts, your habits, your emotions and your patterns without running away from them. Most people make long decisions based on pressure or impulse. They choose paths without fully understanding why they are choosing them. They follow the loudest voice around them instead of the quiet truth inside them. Awareness changes that. Awareness gives you a clear picture of who you are now and who you are becoming. Without that picture, long decisions become guesses, and guesses cannot build a meaningful life. Practicing awareness means slowing down long enough to understand what you are doing and why you are doing it. Many people move too quickly to see the signals that life is trying to show them. They ignore the signs of stress. They overlook the moments of dissatisfaction. They hide from uncomfortable feelings, but those signals carry important information. When something drains you, it is trying to show you that you need change. When something excites you, it is showing you where your potential lies. Awareness is simply paying attention instead of pushing away what you feel. A long decision affects your future, your identity and your direction. Decisions about your work, your health, your relationships and your growth require more than quick thinking. They require an honest understanding of your inner world. Awareness helps you gather that understanding little by little each day. When you pay attention to your thoughts, you start noticing patterns that shape your behavior. When you observe your emotions, you begin to understand what influences your choices. When you track your habits, you learn what strengthens you and what weakens you. These small observations become the foundation of wise, long decisions. Awareness is built through practice. It does not appear overnight. It grows when you take a moment each day to check in with yourself. It grows when you notice how certain situations make you feel. It grows when you ask yourself simple questions like what felt right today and what felt wrong today. Awareness is not judgment, it is clarity. It is seeing things as they are without pretending. When you gain clarity, you make decisions based on reality instead of wishful thinking. People often make long decisions from a place of emotional noise. They decide something important when they are tired or pressured or frustrated. Those emotional states blur judgment. Awareness teaches you to recognize when your mind is not in a state to decide anything important. Instead of forcing a choice, you learn to wait until you feel balanced and stable again. This alone prevents countless mistakes. When you decide from calm awareness instead of emotional reaction, your choices become more aligned with your long-term well-being. Awareness also teaches you to recognize your blind spots. Every person has areas where they act without thinking. Maybe you avoid responsibility when something feels overwhelming. Maybe you shut down when you feel misunderstood. Maybe you chase distractions when you fear failure. These patterns are not signs that something is wrong with you. They are signs that something needs your attention. When you see your blind spots clearly, you can correct them instead of repeating them. Long decisions become stronger when you are aware of the parts of yourself that usually stay hidden. Another important part of awareness is understanding the difference between short comfort and long benefit. Many people choose actions that feel good in the moment, but damage their future. They pick comfort over growth. They pick ease over development. Awareness trains you to see past the immediate feeling and consider the long effect. When you practice awareness, you learn to pause before choosing something that only brings short relief. You ask yourself if this choice supports the person I want to become. That simple question can change the direction of your life. Awareness also gives you emotional independence. When you understand your inner world, you stop relying on outside approval to guide your decision. You stop changing your direction because someone disagrees with you. You stop seeking permission to follow what feels true to you. People who lack awareness depend heavily on others to tell them who they should be. People who practice awareness trust their inner guidance more. They think for themselves. They decide for themselves. They stand for themselves. This independence strengthens every long decision they make. Practicing awareness helps you understand your past without becoming trapped in it. Many people repeat old mistakes because they never examined the choices that created those mistakes. Awareness helps you look back with honesty. You learn what decisions moved you forward and what choices pushed you backward. You see which habits helped your growth and which habits slowed it. You understand what situations brought out your best self and what situations made you shrink. This understanding prepares you for wiser long decisions moving forward. Awareness also teaches patience. Long decisions are often uncomfortable because they require waiting. They require considering multiple angles. They require questioning your motives. They require understanding the consequences. Awareness helps you slow down instead of rushing. When you slow down, you choose from wisdom, not impulse. A patient decision is often the right decision because it comes from your higher thinking instead of emotional urgency. Another benefit of awareness is the ability to see your future lifestyle before it happens. When you imagine a long decision, you can ask yourself, how will this choice affect my days, my energy, my relationships, and my peace? Many people make decisions without thinking about how those decisions will feel when lived daily. Awareness helps you sense what is sustainable and what is not. This prevents you from choosing paths that drain you once the excitement fades. Awareness also helps you understand your needs at a deeper level. When you pay attention, you notice what kind of environment helps you grow. You notice what kind of routines support your stability. You notice what kind of people help you stay grounded. You notice what kind of work brings out your commitment. When you know these things about yourself, you can make long decisions that protect your well-being instead of damaging it. Another key part of awareness is learning to separate your real voice from the voice of fear. Fear often speaks loudly when you are about to make a big choice. It tells you that you are not ready, or you might fail, or others might judge you. Awareness helps you see that fear is a reaction, not a fact. When you recognize fear without letting it control your decision, your life expands. Long decisions become guided by possibility rather than limitation. Awareness also strengthens discipline. When you are aware of your distractions, you can remove them more easily. When you are aware of your excuses, you can challenge them directly. When you are aware of your triggers, you can prepare for them instead of being pulled into them. Discipline becomes easier when you understand what influences your behavior. Awareness is the foundation of control. When you know yourself, you lead yourself. Another powerful aspect of awareness is its ability to reveal opportunities you once ignored. When you move through life without awareness, you overlook chances for growth because you are too distracted to see them. When you practice awareness, you notice ideas, insights, people, and opportunities that align with your long goal. Awareness opens your eyes to possibilities that take your life forward. Practicing awareness is not a practice of perfection, it is a practice of attention. Some days you will understand yourself clearly. Other days your mind will feel clouded. What matters is that you continue returning to awareness. Over time your understanding becomes sharper. Your choices become wiser and your long decisions become easier. This is how awareness becomes a guide. It does not force your decisions. It informs them. It shows you what strengthens you, what drains you, what inspires you, and what limits you. When you see these things clearly, you can choose a path that supports your future instead of harming it. A life built on awareness is a life built on clarity. You know who you are. You know what you want. You know what you need. You know what direction serves your growth. Long decisions become meaningful instead of stressful. You walk through life with purpose instead of confusion. This is how you practice awareness to guide your long decisions. You learn yourself. You observe yourself. You lead yourself. And your life becomes something you shape with intention, rather than something you endure by accident.
Chapter 4. Strengthen discipline to support your future plans. Discipline is one of the most reliable tools a person can build when they want to support their future plans.
It is not something given at birth, and it is not a trait only a few people possess. It is developed through choices repeated with commitment. When a person strengthens discipline, they create a foundation that can carry the weight of their goals. Without that foundation, even the most inspiring plan falls apart. Many people dream big, but act small. They set goals they never prepare for. They want progress without structure. Strengthening discipline changes that pattern because it teaches you to follow through even when motivation fades. Future plans require more than excitement. They require steadiness. They require daily effort. They require follow-through when conditions are not perfect. Many people misunderstand discipline. They think it is about strict rules or harsh self-control. In reality, discipline is simply the art of honoring your commitments. It is showing respect for your future by acting in ways that support it. When you follow through on your commitments consistently, you develop a trust in yourself that cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks. To strengthen discipline, you begin with clarity. You must know what you want your future to look like. Without clear direction, the mind chooses comfort over effort, because comfort always feels easier in the moment. Discipline grows when you have a future vision strong enough to remind you why the effort matters. When you know what you want to build in your life, each disciplined action becomes meaningful instead of burdensome. You are no longer forcing yourself, you are preparing yourself. Discipline is strengthened through small action. Many people try change everything in a single day and then wonder why they feel exhausted by the end of the week. Real discipline is not built through massive pushes. It is built through steady repetition. When you complete one small discipline today, you make tomorrow's discipline easier. When you complete a week of small disciplines, you build momentum. When you complete a month, your behavior begins to change. By the time you complete several months, your identity begins to shift. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That identity alone strengthens discipline even further. The biggest enemy of discipline is distraction. Distraction steals your focus and convinces you that immediate comfort is more important than future growth. Strengthening discipline means becoming more aware of what pulls your attention away from your goals. It might be the habits you do without thinking. It might be the people who drain your energy. It might be the routines that keep you stuck in old patterns. When you identify these distractions, you regain control. You no longer lose hours or days to things that do not support your future. You begin choosing your focus instead of surrendering it. Strengthening discipline also requires understanding the psychology behind resistance. When you start something new, your mind often pushes back. It prefers familiarity because familiarity feels safe. This resistance is not a sign that the task is wrong for you. It is simply the mind protecting its comfort zone. Discipline teaches you to act despite resistance. When you move forward even when you don't feel ready, you build mental strength. Over time, resistance loses power because you no longer treat it as a stopping point. You treat it as a signal to continue. Many people rely only on willpower, but willpower is limited. The environment has a stronger influence than most people realize. If your environment pushes you toward distraction, discipline becomes harder. If your environment supports your direction, discipline becomes smoother. This might mean organizing your space. It might mean reducing certain influences. It might mean surrounding yourself with people who encourage your growth. You design your environment to make the disciplined choice easier to follow. Strengthening discipline also requires learning to manage your emotions. There will be days when you feel energized and days when you feel tired. There will be moments when doubt shows up and tries to slow you down. Emotional waves are normal, but discipline teaches you not to base your actions on temporary feelings. When you continue even on slow days, you prove to yourself that your commitments are stronger than your moods. This builds emotional stability and strengthens your confidence. You start trusting yourself in a deeper way, because you know you can remain consistent even when conditions change. Another aspect of discipline involves taking responsibility for your decisions. Many people blame circumstances for their lack of progress. They say they had no time or felt stressed or waited for the right moment. But waiting for perfect conditions is how progress slows. Discipline teaches you to work with what you have today. You might not complete everything. You might not feel your best, but you do something, and that something is what moves your future forward. Responsibility transforms you from a passive participant into the leader of your own life. To support your future plans, you must also strengthen discipline by creating systems. A system is a simple structure that guides your behavior. When you rely only on motivation, your progress becomes unpredictable. But when you create a system, your actions become consistent. A system might include planning your day the night before. It might include dedicating specific times for important tasks. It might include reviewing your progress at the end of each week. These systems create rhythm. Rhythm builds discipline. Discipline builds your future. Another important step is learning to limit promises to yourself. Many people overwhelm themselves by setting too many commitments at once. When they fail to keep those commitments, they feel discouraged. To strengthen discipline, you begin by making promises you can keep. When you keep small promises, you build trust. When you build trust, you can increase your commitments without feeling overwhelmed. Over time, your discipline becomes strong because it is supported by a history of honesty with yourself. Strengthening discipline also requires respecting your time. Time is not just hours on a clock. It is the space where your future is built. When you give your time to things that do not align with your plans, you weaken your discipline. When you protect your time, you strengthen it. This means being careful with how you schedule your days. It means being mindful about what you agree to. It means reducing time spent on activities that bring no value to your growth. Respect for time is respect for your future. Another key element of discipline is consistency during slow progress. Many people quit when they don't see results quickly. They want immediate proof that their effort is working. But long-term plans require patience. Even when progress is invisible, you continue because you trust the long outcome. Discipline helps you stay committed during these quiet phases. You continue showing up. You continue doing the work. You continue planting seeds even when you cannot see growth yet. This ability to remain consistent during slow seasons is one of the strongest signs of real discipline. Discipline also shapes your relationship with challenges. Instead of seeing challenges as barriers, you begin seeing them as tests of commitment. Each challenge you overcome strengthens your confidence. Each obstacle you face teaches you patience. Each setback you handle teaches you resilience. Discipline does not remove challenges, but it prepares you to face them with clarity instead of fear. The stronger your discipline becomes, the easier it is to navigate difficult seasons without losing direction. One more important part of strengthening discipline is learning to forgive yourself when you fall. Discipline is not perfection. You will make mistakes. You will skip days. You will lose focus. When this happens, you must avoid harsh self-criticism. The goal is not to punish yourself. The goal is to return to your plan with renewed determination. When you forgive yourself, you protect your momentum. When you return quickly, you strengthen your discipline even more. The ability to recover is the hidden strength behind long-term discipline. Your future plans deserve support. They deserve structure. They deserve consistency. They deserve your full commitment. When you strengthen discipline, you give your future the stability it needs to grow. You no longer rely on motivation or mood. You rely on steady action. You rely on clear choices. You rely on intentional behavior. This is how discipline becomes a partner in your future. It supports you. It carries you. It lifts you. It prepares you. And it turns your plans into achievements, one committed action at a time.
Chapter 5. Create boundaries that protect your mental space. Creating boundaries that protect your mental space is one of the most important decisions a person can make when they want to live with clarity and emotional strength. Many people go through life feeling overwhelmed, not because they are weak,
but because they allow too much into their mind without any filter. They say yes when they feel pressured. They absorb worries that do not belong to them. They carry expectations that do not match their own values. They open the door to every request, every conversation, every distraction, every demand, and then wonder why their mind feels heavy. A clear life begins with clear boundaries. When you protect your mental space, you create room for peace, focus, and emotional stability. Boundaries are not walls, they are simple rules that guide how you allow people and situations to interact with your inner world. Every person has a limit to what they can handle, and ignoring that limit leads to burnout and frustration. Protecting your mental space means understanding what drains you, what energizes you, and what keeps you grounded. It means noticing how you feel when you give too much or allow too much noise into your day. Many people ignore these signals and keep pushing themselves until they feel emotionally empty. Boundaries prevent that exhaustion by teaching you when to pause, when to decline, and when to step back. A strong mental space supports every part of your life. When your mind is calm, you think more clearly. When you have space to breathe, you make better decisions. When you feel protected emotionally, you handle challenges with more strength. But this kind of stability does not appear on its own. It is created through choices that respect your mental well-being. One of the first steps is understanding what you can no longer accept. That might include conversations that drain your confidence. It might include demands that leave you exhausted. It might include relationships that damage your self-worth. When you recognize these patterns, you gain the power to change them. Boundaries begin with awareness of your emotional signals. Your body and mind send clear messages when something affects your peace. You might feel tension in your chest when someone pushes your limits. You might feel mentally tired after spending time with someone who brings constant negativity. You might feel anxious when your schedule is filled with commitments you never wanted. These feelings are not random. They are signals pointing to areas where boundaries are missing. When you pay attention to these signals, you understand what needs to change. Setting boundaries requires courage, because it often means changing behavior that others have grown accustomed to. People may not understand at first. They may question your choices. They may even feel uncomfortable, because boundaries disrupt familiar patterns. But your mental well-being must be stronger than their temporary discomfort. You are responsible for protecting your own peace. No one else can make that decision for you. Boundaries are not an act of rejection. They are an act of self-respect. When you create boundaries, you begin noticing how much unnecessary weight you once carried. Many people overextend themselves because they fear disappointing others. They feel responsible for everyone's emotions except their own. They take on problems they never created. They feel guilty when they need rest. They worry about how others might react if they draw a line. But this pattern leads to emotional burnout. Boundaries free you from the burden of trying to manage everything around you. They remind you that your mental space matters just as much as your responsibilities. A strong boundary can be as simple as saying no without over-explaining. It can be limiting how long you spend in conversations that drain your energy. It can be turning off notifications that interrupt your focus. It can be choosing not to engage in arguments that lead nowhere. It can be walking away from behaviors that damage your emotional stability. These small actions create powerful shifts in your mental space. You begin to feel lighter because you are no longer allowing everything to enter your mind unchecked. Creating boundaries also teaches you discipline. It teaches you to stay true to your values even when someone tries to push you off track. It teaches you to protect your attention from distractions that break your focus. It teaches you to prioritize your emotional health instead of trying to meet every demand placed on you. Discipline and boundaries work together to support your long-term well-being. They create structure in your life that keeps your mind safe from overload. A healthy mental space also supports stronger relationships. When you have boundaries, you interact with others from a place of calm rather than frustration. You communicate more clearly because you are not overwhelmed. You express your needs instead of suppressing them. Healthy boundaries create respect between people. They show others how you expect to be treated. They also encourage others to express their own needs without fear. Protecting your mental space also helps you grow. When you are not constantly drained, you have more energy for self-improvement. You have room to think about your goals. You have space to reflect on your choices. You have time to develop new skills. Growth requires attention, and attention is impossible when your mental space is crowded with noise that does not support you. Boundaries remove that noise so you can focus on what matters. Another powerful part of boundary building is learning to separate what is yours to handle from what is not. Many people take on emotional burdens that belong to someone else. They try to fix everything they see. They try to solve problems without being asked. They try to control outcomes outside their influence. This creates unnecessary stress. A boundary reminds you that you are responsible for your actions, not the emotions or choices of others. When you let go of what does not belong to you, your mind feels relieved. You regain energy that was lost to unnecessary pressure. Boundaries also create emotional safety. When your mental space is protected, you feel more secure. You are less reactive. You are less sensitive to negativity. You are less affected by sudden stress. Emotional safety gives you the strength to face challenges without losing your sense of self. It allows you to remain centered even when situations around you change. This stability is essential for building a meaningful life. Another key part of boundary setting is consistency. A boundary loses its power when it is not enforced. To protect your mental space, you must stand by your decisions. If you say you need time alone, you honor that need. If you say you cannot take on more tasks, you hold that line. If you say certain behavior is unacceptable, you stay firm. Consistency builds respect both from others and from yourself. Your mind learns that it can trust you to protect it. Boundaries are not built in a single day. They grow through repeated actions and steady self-awareness. Over time, you begin to notice how your emotional state improves. You begin to feel more focused. You begin to feel more stable. You begin to feel more in control of your life. This is the reward of protecting your mental space. You create a place inside yourself where peace can grow and where clarity can guide your decisions. A life without boundaries is a life filled with emotional noise. A life with boundaries is a life filled with purpose. When you protect your mental space, you give yourself the foundation to build a strong future. You create room for growth. You create room for joy. You create room for stability. And you finally give your mind the environment it needs to stay healthy. This is how you protect your mental space. You choose what enters your mind. You choose what stays. You choose what you release. And through these choices you build a life that supports your emotional well-being every single day.
Chapter 6. Shape habits that build your emotional stability. Emotional stability is not something a person is born with. It is something shaped through daily habits that strengthen the mind and steady the heart. When you shape habits that build emotional stability, you give yourself a reliable structure that holds you up during difficult days and keeps you balanced during ordinary days. Many people wait for their emotions to calm down on their own. But waiting is not a strategy. Emotional balance is built through consistent actions that support your inner world. When these habits become part of your life, you begin to handle stress with more calm, respond to conflict with more clarity, and move through your day with a quiet sense of control. One of the first habits that builds emotional stability is checking in with yourself early in the day. Most people jump into action without knowing how they feel. They rush through their morning with tension already building inside them. When your day begins in a hurry, your emotions follow that pace.
A simple pause in the morning, even for a short moment, helps you understand your emotional state before the world demands your attention. This awareness allows you to prepare your mindset. When you know what you are feeling, you choose your responses instead of reacting automatically. This single habit creates a calm foundation that supports your emotional stability throughout the entire day. Another habit that strengthens emotional stability is keeping your environment organized in a way that reduces chaos. When your surroundings are cluttered, your mind absorbs that disorder. You feel scattered even before the day presents any challenge. A clean and structured environment gives your emotions less friction to struggle against. You feel lighter because your attention isn't pulled in 10 different directions. This habit is simple but powerful. Your environment shapes your emotional rhythm. When you take a moment each day to keep things in order, you are not just organizing a space, you are organizing your mind. A very important habit in building emotional stability is taking responsibility for your thoughts. Thoughts influence emotions faster than any external event. If your thinking is undisciplined, your emotions become unstable. Shaping this habit means paying attention to the stories you repeat to yourself throughout the day. When you start saying things like, "I can't handle this," your emotions respond with anxiety. When you shift your thinking toward, "I can face this step by step," your emotions respond with strength. You are not trying to create unrealistic positivity. You are creating honest and supportive thinking. Emotional stability comes from thinking that does not attack you. Another powerful habit is practicing steady breathing when tension rises. Stress affects your body before you even notice it. Your shoulders tighten, your breath shortens, your heart becomes restless. When you respond to stress with slow and steady breathing, you give your body a signal to calm down. Your emotions follow that signal. This habit does not require long exercises or complicated techniques. It requires only awareness and consistency. When you use your breath to guide your emotions, you regain control in moments where you once felt powerless. Habits that build emotional stability also involve protecting your energy throughout the day. Many people give their energy away freely. They respond to every message immediately. They engage in conversations that drain their peace. They take on tasks that overwhelm them. This constant output leaves them emotionally exhausted by the end of the day. Stability grows when you reserve your energy for things that matter. This habit includes choosing when to respond, choosing who you spend time with, and choosing which tasks align with your goals. When you guard your energy, your emotions stay steady because you are not constantly overextended. Another essential habit is allowing yourself time to rest without guilt. Emotional instability often grows from chronic fatigue. When a person refuses to rest, their emotions become unpredictable. They snap easily. They feel overwhelmed by small problems. They lose their sense of patience. Rest is not a reward. It is a requirement. Building emotional stability means understanding when your mind needs a break. Even a short pause in your day helps your emotions reset. When you value rest, your emotional strength becomes more consistent and more reliable. Another habit that supports emotional stability is expressing your feelings in healthy ways. Suppressed emotions don't disappear. They build pressure inside you. That pressure shows up in stress, irritability, and mental fatigue. When you express what you feel, whether through writing, speaking with someone you trust, or acknowledging your emotions privately, you reduce the emotional weight you carry. Expression clears mental space. It helps you understand what is happening inside you. It strengthens emotional clarity, which is essential for stability. A habit that greatly impacts emotional stability is learning to pause before responding. Many emotional problems come from quick reaction. When you pause even for a moment, you give yourself room to choose the most balanced response. instead of letting your emotions take control. This habit changes the way you communicate. It changes the way you navigate conflict. It changes the way you handle stressful situations. Pausing allows your emotions to settle before you act. This habit brings maturity, strength, and peace into your daily interactions. Another habit that builds emotional stability is practicing gratitude in a realistic and grounded way. Gratitude does not mean ignoring what is wrong. It means recognizing what is right, even in small measures. When you acknowledge the good around you, your emotions shift from tension to appreciation. This habit trains your mind to focus on what supports your well-being, instead of feeding constant frustration. Gratitude strengthens emotional balance, because it reminds you that life is not only made of challenges, it also contains moments worth valuing. Also important is the habit of limiting emotional triggers. Every person has certain situations, people, or behaviors that stir emotional discomfort. Emotional stability grows when you recognize these triggers and adjust how you interact with them. It does not mean avoiding everything that challenges you. It means handling those situations with awareness and preparation. When you reduce unnecessary exposure to emotional triggers, you protect your stability and preserve your energy for moments that matter. A powerful habit that strengthens emotional stability is setting daily intentions for how you want to feel. When you decide in advance that you want patience, clarity, or calm, your mind seeks actions that support that intention. This habit guides your emotions before the day's events attempt to shape them for you. When your mind enters the day with a defined emotional direction, you stay more balanced even when unexpected situations arise. Another important habit is prioritizing consistency over intensity. Many people try to change their emotional life through big, sudden effort. This often leads to burnout. Emotional stability grows through small, steady efforts repeated over time. Short moments of calm, short moments of reflection, short moments of self-support, these add up. This habit rewires your emotional patterns gradually and sustainably. A habit that strengthens emotional stability is reducing self-judgment. Many emotional struggles come from treating yourself harshly. When you criticize yourself constantly, your emotions become tense and fragile. When you treat yourself with fairness and understanding, your emotional state becomes more stable. This does not mean avoiding responsibility for your actions. It means guiding yourself with respect, rather than punishment. When your inner voice becomes more supportive, your emotional strength rises naturally. Emotional stability is also supported by the habit of building meaningful routines. Routines create predictability. Predictability reduces emotional conflict. When your day has structure, your mind feels safer and more grounded. Even simple routines like consistent sleep, steady meal times, and planned moments of quiet can create powerful emotional stability. Finally, emotional stability grows when you practice being present. Anxiety pulls you into the future. Regret pulls you into the past. Presence keeps you anchored. When you focus on what is happening now, your emotions stay grounded. This habit helps you respond calmly to challenges, because you are not carrying the weight of imagined problems or old memories. These habits work together to create a stable emotional foundation. When your habits support your inner world, your emotions become steady, your decisions become clearer, and your life becomes more balanced. Emotional stability is not a mystery. It is the result of consistent habits that protect your peace and strengthen your mind every single day.
Chapter 7. Focus attention on what grows your potential. Focusing your attention on what grows your potential is one of the most life-changing decisions you can make,
because it redirects your energy toward the places where your future actually expands. Most people spread their attention thin across countless tasks, worries, and distractions. They give their mental energy to things that feel urgent but do not move their life forward. They chase approval, debate opinions, absorb negativity, and spend hours reacting instead of choosing. When your attention is scattered, your potential remains unused. But when you learn to focus that attention on what builds your growth, your life begins to change from the inside out. Your potential grows when your attention is directed toward actions that strengthen your character, your skills, and your mindset. This begins with understanding what truly matters to you, not what others expect, not what society pressures you to chase, but what aligns with the life you want to build. When you identify these priorities, your attention becomes more valuable. You stop giving energy to situations that drain you. You stop wasting hours on habits that add nothing to your development. You become more selective because you understand that your attention is limited and powerful. A major part of focusing your attention on what grows your potential is learning to identify what takes you away from your path. Every person has distractions that look harmless but quietly steal growth. It might be engaging in arguments that change nothing. It might be scrolling through content that numbs the mind. It might be spending time with people whose influence pulls you off track. These distractions slow your progress without you noticing. When you focus on your potential, you begin noticing how these distractions affect your thinking, your mood, and your direction. You start choosing activities that elevate your potential rather than suppress it. Your potential grows when you use your attention to develop the skills that shape your future. Every meaningful goal requires certain abilities. It might be communication, discipline, creativity, leadership, emotional strength, or technical skill. When you dedicate daily attention toward improving even one skill, your potential expands significantly. Many people avoid growth because they feel overwhelmed by the distance between who they are and who they want to become. But potential grows in steps, not a small amount of focused attention each day is far more powerful than scattered effort spread over months. Another powerful way to grow your potential is by paying attention to the people you surround yourself with. Humans absorb the energy around. If you spend most of your time with people who complain, doubt themselves, or fear change, your potential shrinks. If you surround yourself with people who challenge you, inspire you, and take responsibility for their own growth, your potential rises naturally. Focusing on your potential means being intentional with your environment. It means choosing conversations that lift your thinking rather than dragging it down. It means seeking guidance from people who have lived the kind of growth you desire. A strong way to direct your attention toward your potential is through consistent self-education. Your mind grows when you feed it the right information. When you invest attention into learning new ideas, reading meaningful content, and exposing yourself to perspectives that stretch your thinking, you strengthen your ability to make wise decisions. Education is not limited to classroom. Every book, every experience, every observation, every conversation is a chance to grow. Your potential expands when your mind expands. But this only happens when you focus your attention on learning instead of letting your mind idle. Another important part of focusing on your potential is giving your attention to meaningful goals. Many people move through life with vague desires, but no clear targets. Without direction, attention gets wasted. When you set clear goals, your attention aligns with purpose. You wake up with intention instead of confusion. You choose actions that move you forward instead of sideways. Your potential grows because your attention has a direction. Even when you move slowly, you move with purpose, and every purposeful step builds confidence. Your potential also grows when you focus attention on habits that improve your daily life. These habits might include exercise, journaling, structured planning, or reflective thinking. Each of these habits strengthens your emotional and mental stability. When your daily life becomes more organized and grounded, you free your mind to focus on bigger possibilities. Chaos shrinks your potential because it consumes your energy. Structure increases your potential because it frees your energy for growth. Focus becomes stronger when you learn to practice mindfulness in simple daily ways. Mindfulness trains your attention to stay present instead of drifting. When your attention is in the present moment, you think more clearly. You make better choices. You respond instead of reacting. Presence increases your potential because it strengthens your self-control. When you can guide your attention intentionally, you gain influence over your direction, rather than letting your mind wander toward negativity or self-doubt. Another powerful shift happens when you focus your attention on progress rather than perfection. Perfection slows potential because it creates fear. When a person fears making mistakes, they hesitate, they delay, they overthink. Potential grows through action, not through flawless execution. When you give your attention to progress, you allow yourself to take steps forward, even when conditions are not perfect. This steady movement builds momentum, and momentum is one of the greatest forces behind human potential. Your potential also grows when you pay attention to your emotional triggers. When you understand what frustrates you, what discourages you, and what causes you to shut down, you gain the power to handle these situations differently. Emotional awareness gives you the ability to respond with maturity rather than being controlled by your reactions. This emotional maturity plays a major role in your growth. When you know how to navigate your emotions, you make stronger decisions and handle challenges with more clarity. One of the most important places to direct your attention is your long-term vision. Many people focus only on immediate tasks and short-term gratification, but potential grows when you lift your eyes and think about the kind of life you want 5 years from now. When your attention recognizes your long future, your choices become more meaningful. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter in the long run. You start choosing actions that contribute to your future self. This shift transforms your daily life because every step gains purpose. Your potential also grows when you focus attention on your strengths. Many people spend so much time thinking about their weaknesses that they forget the abilities they already have. When you identify your strengths, you understand the areas where you can excel naturally. Focusing on strengths gives you confidence, and confidence increases your willingness to take action. When your attention supports your strengths, you multiply your impact in your personal and professional life. Another essential area of focus is your well-being. Your potential cannot grow when your body is exhausted or your mind is neglected. When you pay attention to your physical health, your sleep, your stress levels, and your emotional needs, you create a foundation that allows your potential to rise. Ignoring well-being blocks growth. Supporting well-being invites growth. This simple habit of self-care has a direct influence on your potential because a healthy mind and body perform far better than a drained one. Focusing your attention on what grows your potential also involves choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term escape. Many people numb themselves when life feels difficult. They distract themselves from discomfort instead of facing it, but potential grows when you face challenges head-on. When you give your attention to the lessons inside your difficulties, you strengthen resilience. You understand yourself better. You become more prepared for future challenges. Growth comes from attention, not avoid. Your potential becomes stronger each time you focus on solutions instead of problems. Problems trigger frustration. Solutions trigger creativity. When you shift your attention from "why is this happening" to "what can I do next," you reclaim control. You stop feeling stuck and begin feeling capable. This mindset fuels potential because it builds the habit of taking constructive action, even during tough situations. Every time you direct your attention towards something meaningful, you build a stronger version of yourself. Your potential grows through intention, through awareness, through consistent effort, and through the choices you make daily. When you commit to focusing attention on what truly matters, your life takes a new direction, one that leads toward growth, strength, and fulfillment.
Chapter 8. Develop routines that reinforce your personal direction. Developing routines that reinforce your personal direction is one of the smartest choices you can make when you want your life to move forward with purpose and stability. A routine is not a prison. It is a guide that makes growth easier and more predictable. When you build routines that reflect your values and long-term goals, you give your days structure, meaning, and momentum. Many people live without routines and wonder why their life feels scattered. They wake up without clarity, move through the day reacting to random events, and end the evening feeling like nothing meaningful happened. A routine solves this by creating a steady rhythm that supports the person you want to become. A strong routine begins with understanding your personal direction. You must know where you're going before you choose the habits that carry you there. When you have a clear direction, your routines become purposeful. You're no longer waking up hoping the day will go well. You're waking up with a plan that aligns with your growth. This alignment lifts your confidence because you feel in control of your life instead of drifting through it. One of the most important routines you can develop is a consistent morning structure that sets the tone for your entire day. A meaningful morning does not have to be complicated. It simply needs to support your mental, emotional, and physical readiness. When you start your morning with clarity rather than chaos, you protect your attention from being pulled in too many directions. A calm morning strengthens your personal direction because it prevents distractions from controlling your mindset before your day even begins. This might include a few minutes of quiet, reflection, planning, stretching, or grounding yourself mentally. Whatever helps you step into the day with intention becomes part of your foundation. A strong routine should also protect your priorities. Every person has tasks that matter more than others. These are the actions that shape your progress and reinforce your long-term direction. Many people make the mistake of dealing with unimportant tasks first, leaving the meaningful work for later in the day when their energy is low. But when you build a routine that places your priorities early, you ensure your direction stays intact. You give your best energy to the actions that matter. You build consistency where it counts most. Developing routines that support your personal direction also means respecting the limits of your attention. Your mind has a natural threshold, and when you overload it, you lose clarity. A routine helps you manage your attention by dividing your day into manageable segments. You are less likely to burn out and more likely to stay focused. This steady focus strengthens your productivity and prevents wasted energy. When your mind knows what to expect, it performs better. Predictability creates stability. Another powerful aspect of developing routines is that they eliminate unnecessary decision-making. Constant decision-making drains mental energy. When you have routines in place, you reduce daily stress because you're not constantly guessing what to do next. Your routines act like a supportive structure. They carry you forward, even on days when motivation is low. This consistency is one of the most important factors in long-term growth. You don't rise or fall based on your emotions. You rise because your routines keep you moving. Routines also help you build trust in yourself. Every time you follow through on a routine, you strengthen your confidence. You prove to yourself that you can be consistent, responsible, and committed. This inner trust becomes one of your greatest assets. When you believe in your ability to follow through, you take on bigger goals because you know you can handle the process required to reach them. Self-trust is built through repeated action, and routines are the strongest way to create that repetition. A meaningful routine should also support your emotional stability. Life can bring unexpected events,
But when you have routines, you have something steady to return to. These routines anchor you when things feel uncertain. They give you a place of stability even when life becomes unpredictable. A routine might include daily reflection, simple physical activity, consistent meals, personal quiet time, or any habit that supports your emotional wellness. Emotional balance is easier to maintain when your routines guide your day instead of chaos. Developing routines also reinforces discipline. When you practice the same behavior repeatedly, discipline becomes easier. You don't have to fight with yourself every day because the behavior becomes automatic. This frees up mental space for creativity, growth, and problem solving. Discipline is not about forcing yourself, it's about creating patterns that support your direction. When your routine is consistent, your discipline becomes steady without constant effort. Another benefit of routines is that they make progress visible. When you repeat meaningful actions every day, you start seeing real improvement. Whether you're learning something new, improving your health, strengthening your mindset, or building a career path, routines bring your progress to the surface. The more progress you see, the more encouraged you feel. Momentum grows because routines create consistent forward movement. This is how people build lasting change, through small steps repeated daily. Routines also help you distance yourself from distractions. When your day has structure, distractions lose their power. You're less likely to fall into time-wasting habits because your schedule guides your attention. You naturally become more focused and more intentional. You stop giving energy to things that do not support your direction because your routine keeps you anchored. Over time, distractions feel less tempting because your commitment becomes stronger. A powerful routine should also include time for recovery. Growth does not come only from effort. It also comes from rest. Many people push themselves too hard and damage their long-term progress. A balanced routine includes moments of stillness, moments of relaxation, and moments of mental reset. When your routine respects your energy, you become more productive, more alive, and more emotionally steady. Recovery reinforces your direction by keeping you capable of facing challenges with strength. Routines also strengthen clarity. When you repeatedly engage in habits that align with your long-term direction, your identity becomes clearer. You begin to understand what matters to you and what doesn't. You become more selective about your commitments, your conversations, and your goals. This clarity helps you make better decisions because you know exactly what supports your future and what distracts you from it. Another powerful part of developing routines is practicing consistency, even when progress is slow. Many people quit when results don't show up quickly. They believe the routine isn't working, so they abandon it. But progress often grows beneath the surface before showing itself. Routines keep you steady during the quiet phases, when nothing seems to be happening. They carry you through uncertainty and prepare you for the moment your progress becomes visible. Consistency outlasts doubt. Your routine keeps you moving when your emotions fluctuate. A well-built routine also encourages you to grow without feeling overwhelmed. When growth is broken into daily habits, it becomes manageable. You don't have to climb the entire mountain in one day. You focus on steady steps, and your routine guides each one. This reduces pressure and increases your confidence. You begin to see growth as a natural part of your life instead of a stressful challenge. Your routines should reflect your values. If you value health, your routine supports your body. If you value growth, your routine supports learning. If you value stability, your routine protects your peace. Routines are a mirror that show what you truly prioritize. When your routine aligns with your values, your life feels meaningful. You feel connected to your direction because your actions support your identity. Developing routines that reinforce your personal direction is how you turn intention into action. It is how you move from planning to doing. It is how you create growth that lasts. When your routines are aligned, your days become purposeful, your mind becomes clearer, your progress becomes steady, and your direction becomes reinforced through every action you take. This is how you build a life that supports your highest potential.
Chapter 9. Take steps that honor your long goals. Taking steps that honor your long goals is one of the most honest forms of self-respect. It is the way you prove to yourself that your future matters as much as your present comfort. Many people hold big dreams inside them, but their daily actions do not reflect those dreams. They think about a better future, yet live in ways that keep them stuck in the same patterns. A long goal cannot grow when the steps you take contradict it. Growth requires alignment. It requires actions that support your vision, even when those actions feel uncomfortable or inconvenient. When you choose steps that honor your long goals, you begin to build a life that matches your intentions. Honoring your goals starts with understanding what you truly want. Not what you think you should want, not what others tell you to want, but what genuinely matters to you. When you are clear about your long direction, you stop chasing things that do not belong in your future. You stop wasting time on short pleasures that distract you. You stop allowing doubt to influence your decisions. A long goal becomes the anchor that guides your choices. Every action begins to serve a purpose because you finally know where you want to go. Many people underestimate the power of small steps. They believe progress requires grand actions or dramatic change, but long goals grow through steady and repeated effort. A single step taken with intention is far more valuable than a burst of effort followed by a long break. When you take small steps consistently, your mind adjusts to the identity of someone who follows through. Your confidence grows because each completed step becomes proof that you are capable of staying committed. You don't have to reach your goal in one move. You just have to keep moving forward. Taking steps that honor your long goals also means being honest about your habits. Certain habits support your future, while others sabotage it. When you take responsibility for your daily choices, you stop pretending that a long goal will magically appear without effort. You begin to replace old habits with new ones that support who you want to become. This might mean waking up earlier, reducing distractions, investing more time in learning, practicing your craft consistently, taking care of your health, or organizing your priorities. Every habit you shape becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. Another important part of honoring your long goals is learning to say no to what does not align with your direction. Many people stay stuck because they agree to things that conflict with their priorities. They give away time, energy, and focus to situations that add no value to their lives. A long goal requires discipline in choosing what deserves your attention. When you say no to distractions, you are actually saying yes to your future. This shift feels empowering because you are no longer letting life control your decisions. You are controlling your path. Taking steps that support your long goals also means accepting discomfort. Growth requires leaving familiar routines. It requires stepping outside old patterns. It requires facing responsibilities you once avoided. You cannot expand your future by clinging to comfort. When you learn to handle discomfort with patience, you unlock a new level of strength. The discomfort becomes temporary, but the growth it creates becomes permanent. You experience the satisfaction of knowing that every difficult step is shaping a stronger version of you. Another essential part of honoring long goals is evaluating your progress regularly. Many people never reach their goals because they never check whether their actions are actually working. When you pause to look at your progress, you gain clarity. You notice what is improving and what needs adjustment. Progress is not a straight line, it's a series of choices that require refinement. When you review your steps with honesty, you improve your direction instead of repeating old mistakes. This simple reflection prevents months of wasted effort and helps you grow with intention.
A powerful way to support your long goals is by strengthening your mindset. A long goal requires patience, resilience, and the ability to keep going when things become challenging. When you build a strong mindset, setbacks lose their power. You stop viewing obstacles as signs to quit and start seeing them as part of the journey. This mental strength is what separates people who give up early from those who build a meaningful future. Your mindset protects your progress by keeping you steady even when the path feels slow. Taking steps that honor your long goals also requires surrounding yourself with the right influences. The people around you shape your thinking more than you realize. If you spend your time with people who avoid growth or criticize ambition, they weaken your focus. But when you surround yourself with people who value progress and responsibility, your motivation naturally rises. You feel encouraged to continue. You feel accountable for your actions. You feel supported instead of drained. The environment you choose can either push you forward or hold you back. Another important step in honoring your long goals is managing your time wisely. Time is the fuel that supports your progress. If your time is scattered across meaningless activities, you slow your development. But when your time is invested into meaningful actions, your progress accelerates. This doesn't mean working non-stop. It means using your time intentionally. It means giving more hours to what builds your future and fewer hours to what holds you still. When your time aligns with your long goals, your life moves forward naturally. Taking steps that honor your long goals also means being patient with yourself. Growth requires time. You cannot expect immediate results from long-term work. When progress feels slow, many people become discouraged and stop trying. But long goals demand consistency, even when change happens quietly. When you trust the process, your patience becomes a powerful tool. You continue moving, knowing that every step, big or small, is shaping your future. A goal becomes real when you take responsibility for it. You stop waiting for ideal conditions. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop waiting for someone to push you. You rely on yourself. You understand that the future you want will not come from wishes or dreams. It will come from steps taken with intention and commitment. This responsibility shifts you into a higher level of maturity. You start acting like someone who builds their future rather than hoping for one. Another essential part of honoring your long goals is staying flexible. Plans change, circumstances shift, life rarely goes exactly as expected. Flexibility keeps you moving even when your path adjusts. It helps you adapt without losing the goal itself. Flexibility is not weakness, it is strength. The ability to adjust without breaking your commitment. When you can adapt while staying focused, your long goals remain protected. Finally, taking steps that honor your long goals reconnects you with your purpose. You begin to feel proud of yourself. You feel motivated because you see your life taking shape with intention. The steps may be quiet. The progress may be steady, but the transformation becomes real. You feel aligned. You feel in control. You feel responsible for your own future. This sense of direction becomes one of the greatest sources of inner strength. Every long goal requires steps that match its importance. When your actions support your direction, your future begins to rise. You build your life day by day, choice by choice, step by step, always honoring the future you want to create.
Chapter 10. Design choices that strengthen your daily growth. Designing choices that strengthen your daily growth is the process of taking ownership over who you want to become and shaping your day in a way that supports that transformation. Growth does not happen by accident. It happens when you create an environment, a mindset, and a set of actions that lift you a little higher each day. Many people hope to grow, but their daily choices point in the opposite direction. They choose convenience over development, distraction over focus, and comfort over progress. When you design your choices with intention, your day becomes a training ground for becoming a stronger, wiser, and more capable version of yourself. Daily growth starts with clarity.
You must know what areas of your life you want to strengthen. It could be your emotional health, your discipline, your skill set, your relationships, your mindset, or your physical well-being. Once you identify the areas that matter, you design choices around them. These choices become small but consistent actions that move you closer to your goals without overwhelming you. Growth becomes a lifestyle instead of an occasional attempt. When you wake up knowing what you want to build, your actions become purposeful instead of random. A powerful part of designing choices for daily growth is understanding the difference between actions that drain you and actions that elevate you. Every day presents countless options. Some choices move you forward, some keep you standing still, and some pull you backward. When you become aware of how each choice affects your energy and direction, you begin making decisions with more precision. You stop giving time to habits that weaken your potential. You stop feeding cycles that keep you stuck. You start choosing behaviors that align with the person you want to become. This shift transforms your day because your decisions are no longer emotional guesses. They are strategic moves toward growth. A significant factor in strengthening daily growth is choosing simpler paths that you can sustain. Many people try to force sudden change with extreme effort. They push intensely for a day or two, only to fall back into old patterns. Growth does not thrive under pressure, it thrives under consistency. When you design choices that are realistic and manageable, you create momentum. You build trust in yourself, you stay committed longer. This consistency becomes the foundation of your growth, because day after day, your choices reinforce the direction you want to take. Another important part of designing choices for daily growth is controlling your mental input. What you consume mentally influences your thoughts, your beliefs, and your decisions. If you feed your mind negativity, conflict, doubt, or distraction, your growth slows. But when you choose content that inspires you, challenges you, and educates you, your thinking evolves. You begin to see new possibilities. You start to develop healthier beliefs about yourself. You gain confidence because your mind becomes stronger. Growth begins in the mind long before it shows in your behavior. When you choose what enters your mind, you shape the direction of your life. Daily growth becomes more attainable when you make choices that support your physical energy. Your body affects your mood, your focus, and your ability to stay disciplined. When you choose to move your body, eat for strength, sleep with intention, and rest when needed, your growth becomes more natural. You have the energy to follow through on your goals. You think more clearly. You respond better to challenges. A strong life requires a strong foundation, and your physical well-being is one of the most important parts of that foundation. Another meaningful choice for daily growth is the decision to engage with your day instead of merely going through it. Many people let their days pass without awareness. They repeat routines out of habit rather than intention. When you choose to pay attention to how you feel, what you do, and how your actions affect your future, you become an active participant in your life. This awareness helps you avoid wasting time on behaviors that do not support your growth. It helps you course correct quickly. It gives your day meaning because your decisions are guided by observation instead of autopilot. One of the most powerful choices that strengthen daily growth is choosing responsibility over excuses. Excuses weaken growth because they remove your power. They convince you that your life depends on circumstances instead of choices. When you choose responsibility, you reclaim control. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop blaming the past. You stop allowing setbacks to define your path. Responsibility strengthens your growth because it turns every challenge into an opportunity for skill building. You begin to see that growth is always possible when you choose action over avoidance. Daily growth also requires choosing honesty with yourself. You must be willing to look at your behavior without denial. You must acknowledge when you fall off track. You must recognize when fear influences your choices. You must admit when you avoid responsibility or let distractions win. Honesty is not about guilt. It is about clarity. When you see your weaknesses clearly, you can address them. When you see your strengths clearly, you can expand. Honesty speeds up your growth because it removes confusion. Another important daily choice is deciding to protect your focus. Focus determines the quality of your growth. When your attention is scattered, your progress becomes weak. When your attention is directed, your progress becomes powerful. Protecting focus means choosing who and what receives your energy. It means turning away from conversations that drain your motivation. It means reducing unnecessary noise. It means dedicating parts of your day to uninterrupted work, reflection, or skill building. Every time you protect your focus, you invest in your potential. Daily growth becomes stronger when you choose to embrace learning. Many people stop growing because they stop learning. They repeat the same knowledge, the same routines, and the same pattern. When you choose to learn something new each day, whether through reading, observing, practicing, or experiencing, you expand your ability to think and act with wisdom. Learning sharpens your decisions. It improves your creativity. It strengthens your problem-solving skill. When you choose growth through learning, your mind becomes more adaptable and capable. Another powerful choice is to seek improvement instead of perfection. Perfection creates pressure. Pressure creates fear. Fear stops progress. Improvement, however, creates freedom. It allows you to make mistakes without losing momentum. It allows you to grow at a natural pace. It helps you appreciate your journey instead of constantly criticizing yourself. When you choose improvement, your confidence rises. You start valuing your progress instead of judging it. This mindset fuels daily growth because it removes unnecessary stress and keeps you moving forward. Daily growth also requires choosing meaningful interactions. The people you talk to influence your mindset. If your daily interactions drain you, your growth weakens. But when you choose conversations that uplift you, challenge you, and help you stay aligned with your goals, you strengthen your direction. Growth happens faster when you surround yourself with supportive influences. Even one meaningful conversation can change your mindset for the entire day. Another key choice is deciding to stay adaptable. Growth requires flexibility. Plans change. Unexpected situations arise. Challenges interrupt your schedule. When you choose adaptability, you preserve your momentum. You adjust without giving up. You maintain your direction, even when your path shifts. Adaptability strengthens your resilience. It teaches you to work with what you have instead of stopping when conditions become imperfect. Choosing reflection is another habit that strengthens daily growth. Reflection allows you to understand why something worked or didn't work. It reveals patterns. It highlights lessons. It helps you improve. When you reflect at the end of the day, you learn from your actions instead of repeating mistakes. This small habit compiles wisdom over time, giving you a clearer sense of how to grow. Every choice you make is a vote for the person you want to become. When you design choices that support your growth, you take control of your future. You build your self-intention. You strengthen your confidence. You create progress that lasts. Growth does not come from one big decision. It comes from the small choices you design every single day. Choices that build your potential, shape your mindset, and move your life in the direction you truly want to go.